Principle number 2 is music is a language. Therefore, we should approach with the goal of learning to speak music, not learning to play an instrument. This is a very important, basic, fundamental difference, I think, between this approach and most approaches that are taken in music education. It's very difficult to play an instrument that you don't know how to play right away, of course. And so most people get distracted by the difficulties of the instrument. They let the technique be the focus at the beginning. And since music is a language, the main goal is communication. It's not about technique. And the way that we learn to speak our language is not focused on technique at all. When we're young children, we don't practice. We don't do exercises. We don't go over into another room by ourselves and say the same words and the same sentences over and over again until we're good enough to speak them to other people. Let's examine a little bit how music is like a language. There's many ways that it's the same. Number 1 is music is about communication, as is language. It's the primary goal. And that's very important when we pick up a musical instrument, that we need to remember that our primary goal is to communicate, is to express ourselves and understand other people's expressions and put those expressions together in a way that they're in harmony with each other. Music has notes. Those are kind of the words of the musical language. Music also has phrases, which are like sentences. For example, here's a musical word. Just another word. Another word. And just like if you said 3 words by themselves, with big spaces in between, it wouldn't probably make very much sense to people. But if you make it into a musical sentence, even if it's quite simple, it makes sense. Music also has grammar. There is something called music theory that you have to take many years of if you go to a music school in order for them to give you a diploma. Now, we don't really need to understand the theory of a language or the grammar of music for us to successfully speak it, however. We learn to speak our native tongue quite easily before we know any of the rules of grammar. But there is grammar in music and in language. Music and language also has a certain rhythm, a certain flow to it. And it's quite easy to speak music or another language when we're feeling like we're in the flow, when we're in the groove. But if we get out of that flow, then it doesn't sound right. For example, one language might be kind of fast and staccato and pointy. Another language might be a little bit smoother and slower. And part of getting that language correct when you speak to other people is not just about the words you speak and the order you speak them in the grammar, but also the groove and the rhythm and the flow of the way that you speak. Music is most certainly like this. Music also has a tonality and an accent to it. Different people have different voices. They have different sounds to their voice. They have different things that they think are important, and different ways that they bring out their communication. Certain words speak with a certain accent. Saying, I love you is very different from saying, I love you. Very different feeling. And of course, music and language also has dynamics. So, if you say something, I love you, it's very different than I love you. Same in music. If I go, that says two different things. So it's very important for us to be able to understand all these different elements of the language of music or any language we're learning to speak and have control over those elements. At the beginning, we're just going to focus on a few that I think are the most critical and the most neglected in everyday attention in music study. But to truly speak a language fluently, it's good to master all of these elements.